My name is Brennan Selecki. I am the Director of Development and Community Engagement here at Family Transition Place. Family Transition Place is the emergency women's shelter in Orangeville, Ontario. We serve all of Dufferin and North Peel. We have satellite offices in both Bolton and in Shelburne as well. If there's one thing I want people to know, it's that we're so much more than a women's shelter. We really are a multidisciplinary agency that offers counseling support through women abuse, sexual abuse, our child witness program. We have a 24/7 crisis line that anybody can call at any time, and it will be answered by someone who is working here in this building and get anybody the support that they need. The types of services that we provide at Family Transition Place, first and foremost, is emergency shelter. And that's available to anybody that's experiencing violence or unhealthy relationships, that's also experiencing homelessness. We're funded through the county for homeless support. So as you can imagine right now, our shelter beds are always full. We have 12 individual units in our shelter. So no one shares a bedroom here, no one shares a unit. They're all individual self-contained units with kitchenettes and bathrooms and a sleeping space, which is really cornerstone to that kind of wraparound service that we provide, because women and their children, and you don't have to have children to come here, you can be a single woman, have a space that is something that they can call their own for the time that they are staying here, whether that's days or weeks, whatever time frame they need. If it's leaving urgently, if it's planning to leave, we provide that safety, support, and hope while they're here. We have counselors that are here. We have a full-time team of counselors that provide wraparound support when women and their kiddos or women single are staying with us through counseling, whether that's addictions counseling. We know substances are used as a way to cope with what women may be going through, whether that's coming out of a violent relationship or their experience of homelessness or precarious housing. We offer women abuse counseling. We offer child witness counseling. So if we have a child that's coming in that has experienced that, they have witnessed violence being used in their home, and helping them process and unpack that. All of our counselors are compassionate and wonderful and lovely, and we provide hundreds of women, children, and men counseling support throughout the year here at Family Transition Place. Our counseling program provides a lot of different counseling services, whether that be someone who has experienced domestic violence themselves, if they've witnessed domestic violence, if they're using substances to cope with an addiction they might have. We also offer crisis counseling. So you could be having a really challenging time. Walk-in crisis is accepted. We have a community shower. If there's somebody in the community that is precariously housed that just needs a shower or they need a hot meal, they can come here for that. Further to our counseling program, we also have our Lotus Center. So our Lotus Center is our sexual violence and counseling program that is located within this building here. It's a partnership with Dufferin Child and Family Services, as well as the Headwaters Hospital, the Headwaters Healthcare Center. And together we provide wraparound services and supports to those that have experienced sexual violence, those that have witnessed sexual violence, those who are supporting families that have had sexual violence. So for example, if you have learned that your friend or your family member or your child has experienced that, we are equipped to provide that support to you through counseling that we offer here at Family Transition Place. We often get asked what is happening here locally. And I think the biggest misconception that people have is that it's not happening here. It is. It is very much happening here. Last year, through our crisis line, so we answer our crisis line 24/7. You're always going to have someone on the other end of the phone. We had 4,768 calls to our crisis line. That's a 23% increase from the year previous. The crisis calls are going up. It's interesting. During the pandemic, we saw a decrease in calls, and we're going, what's going on? Is everyone okay? What's happening? And it's because we had women and their children, or women without children, that were home with their abuser. They couldn't call for support because there was nowhere for them to be during lockdown. So we're now seeing this after effect, or what I'll call the ripple effect of the pandemic, where folks are now seeking the support that they have needed for so many years. One of the things, we're a member, so Family Transition Place is a member of OAITH, which is the Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Houses. And one of the things that OAITH does is they release a femicide list every single month. A femicide list is a list of every woman or woman identifying person or child that has been killed by a man where the man has been charged in their death. So at the beginning of November, which is Women Abuse Prevention Month, we send out proclamation requests to all of our municipalities. Will you proclaim November as Women Abuse Prevention Month? Will you proclaim November 25th as the International Day to End Violence Against Women? When we sent that out, that femicide list was at 50 people. There were 50 women on that list. That was almost as many as the total of last year had in its entirety. As we sit here today, nearing the end of November, there have been 12 more people added to that list. That list now sits at 62. In recent years, myself, our executive director, our team here, we've not seen this rapid of an increase in crime where there has been this much domestic violence and this much loss of life for women and children at the hands of men. So when we talk about, and people will say, well, but has that happened in Dufferin? We just had 2 women that were killed in Caledon. It is definitely happening here. We know it's happening here from the calls that we're getting on our crisis line. Chances are there is someone in your life who you know who has experienced domestic violence. And when we think about domestic violence, a lot of people at face value think of domestic violence as physical force, or he's hurting her. It goes so much beyond that. It extends to coercive control. There's certainly there is intimate partner violence, but there is verbal aggression. There is financial control. If you're having to ask to spend money, if you're having to ask to go anywhere, those are all different levels and forms of violence that you wouldn't necessarily think. I mean, psychological violence is just as significant, if not more significant, than physical violence in most cases, because that's what we're dealing with on the other side of the house, where people are coming in with, I've got this experience in my relationship where this isn't normal. This doesn't feel right. I think I need some support navigating that. The 3 pillars of Family Transition Place are safety, support, and hope. Certainly we provide safety through our emergency shelter. We have our second stage housing program, which is housing out in the community, where we continue to provide wraparound supports to those women and children that might be staying within that program. So we're providing safety and shelter. Support we're providing through our counseling program. As I mentioned, there's a multitude of different counseling supports that we provide. It ranges on a continuum, whether it's crisis in the moment support or it's longer term support where we have sessions that folks are coming to us for counseling. Hope is the last pillar, and I think that's where I enjoy talking about that the most, because I do see where there is a future where we're eliminating violence against women. I do see there is a future where we are all living in healthy relationships, and that's because of the work that we're doing in schools. We have remarkable youth educators, and we have programming in schools from grade 3 to grade 8, where we run 8-week sessions that talk about healthy relationships. They talk about healthy self-esteem. They talk about what is right, what is not right. They talk about empowerment. And by hearing about what a healthy relationship is usually where someone can identify what a healthy relationship has not been in their family. And it arms kids with the knowledge that we're here, and this is what Family Transition Place exists to support, but it also arms them with the knowledge of, I can do better, and I can be a better friend, and I can be a better sibling, and I can be a better kid, and I can model those behaviors in my life because of what I'm learning. So it's this continuum that if we can really focus on the prevention end of things, then there is hope that we're not going to be seeing those kids either staying in our shelter or needing our counseling support, because we're empowering them with knowledge that they may not be getting elsewhere. So that's a pretty impactful program that we have, and we're very, very lucky that we have been embraced so well by the different school boards here to bring that programming. We've had that program in schools now since 2001, and in that time, it's hundreds of thousands of kids that we have seen. Just last year alone, I think we saw 2,200 kids in the schools, and those kids remember that. Our youth educators will be the first ones that will say, like, I was down at a Mirvish production in Toronto and a kid came up to me and said, I've still got this. And it's a little keepsake card about something that one of their classmates have said about them. And it's really special and inspiring, and they carry that with them. And I think we can do really remarkable and wonderful things if we're educating the next generation of young people in our community, which we are a big part of through our youth education program. It takes one call to reach out for help and to connect you with so many resources that exist in this community. That is what I would want someone to know. Heading into the holidays, while they are commercially the most wonderful time of the year, that couldn't be further from the truth for a lot of folks that are experiencing domestic violence, that are experiencing homelessness, that are experiencing unhealthy relationships or past trauma that's not related to domestic violence and homelessness. And that is okay. And I would encourage those folks to call and to reach out and to get connected with the resources that exist in this community to help navigate what can be a really, really tough time of year.